Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Recently, James Gunn released the first Supergirl trailer, and a lot of you saw the bubbling of Argo City happening while Krypton was in the middle of being destroyed and had a lot of Brainiac questions because it's been reported that he is the main villain of Superman 2, Man of Tomorrow, and it's the next big super family movie after Supergirl. A couple days after that, James Gunn was online posting about Brainiac specifically because they're about to start filming Man of Tomorrow pretty soon, and separately also posted some John Cena Peacemaker cameo stuff from Superman for a completely separate reason though. John Cena just had his last wrestling match, so he was honoring him with pictures of his cameo scene. The reason why the Merman was in his post wasn't because of Aquaman stuff, it's a reference to something the Vigilante was posting in his text during the events of the Peacemaker series. Still gonna be a while before we see Aquaman show up in the DCU. A lot of you also asking about Jason Momoa's Lobo and the future of that character. Yes, the trailer is very Lobo-light. There's an important reason for that. It's still early days for Lobo in the DCU, and how Lanterns figures into all this, because they also just released a trailer for that too, which I did a video for. So we'll explain how it's all connected and how they're setting up Brainiac during the Supergirl movie. During the Supergirl trailer, when Ruthie starts asking Supergirl about Superman and the destruction of Krypton, it's meant to be a scene taken directly out of the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, which they're basing the movie on, with a number of changes that you've also spotted during the trailer. In the comic book version, she's just remembering what happened to Krypton during its actual destruction. In the movie, they're playing it like a full-on flashback. And she's basically remembering what happened to Krypton during its actual destruction when the planet was in the middle of breaking apart. And this new DCU backstory is meant to be a little bit different from the Arrowverse Melissa's Supergirl backstory. DCU Supergirl was still living with her family in Argo City while the planet was in the middle of cracking apart. As she explains, her father Zor-El, played by David Krumholtz, you can actually see him in the background here, had agreed with his brother Jor-El, Bradley Cooper's version, because we're talking about DCU now, about the imminent destruction of Krypton and the fact that they needed to prepare better for it. Zack Snyder kind of got into this phenomenon during the Man of Steel movie, like, hey, maybe we should do something about this, like climate change is going to destroy Krypton. In this movie, they actually might tie Brainiac to Krypton's destruction a little bit more, though.
What was it like to lose everything in a day?
Supergirl then remembers that when Krypton was being destroyed, Jor-El had already fired Superman's pod off to Earth, so he was long gone. Her father, Zor-El, had developed the technology you see here in the trailer to bubble the entire Argo City in a portion of Krypton beneath it. So in the trailer, when you see everybody running through the streets screaming and like all these beams flying around everywhere, this woman in red hair that turns and looks at camera is Allura Inze, her mother, played by Emily Beecham, when the city is rising in the sky after the dome is erected. This is because gravity has already pulled the planet into big chunks and it begins to float freely through space under this dome, so Argo City becomes this floating life raft of a city just drifting through space without any engines or form of propulsion. And right at the beginning here, about 100,000 Kryptonians survived in the city when this goes down. Supergirl was about 14 years old when that happened. Her line in the trailer when she says Krypton didn't die in a day is also meant to be a direct Brainiac reference because, as most of you have clocked, the bottle city of Kandor. In the comics, Brainiac basically does the same thing that Zor-El did here with Argo City, bottle it up and save it before Krypton was totally destroyed. Supergirl doesn't know about this yet. She still thinks that her city Argo was the last surviving one. There's a moment in the trailer where Ruthie asks her if there's anybody else out there like her, and she says there's only one other. She's talking about Superman because she still thinks that the two of them are the only surviving Kryptonians in the universe right now. She doesn't know that Kandor also survived. And it is full of Kryptonians. There weren't really any big teasers during the post-credit scene for the first Superman movie that we know about right now. They didn't seem like big teasers at the time. So they might be doing the same thing with the Supergirl post-credit scenes too, where they're not like real big teasers, but they could include another reference to Brainiac, just throwing forward to Man of Tomorrow. Millie Alcock also separately confirmed Superman was in the Supergirl movie. He does have a cameo scene, and they filmed a scene where they only spoke Kryptonian to each other, which sounds pretty cool, but she wasn't wearing her Supergirl suit, and it was very cold, so I'm assuming that it was inside the Fortress of Solitude again. Like, imagine a version of their scene at the end of the Superman movie, but they're only speaking Kryptonian to each other, and she's not drunk. Maybe that'll be at the very beginning of the Supergirl movie, or the very end of the Supergirl movie. Personally, I think it makes more sense to have it at the end of the Supergirl movie, and they can just use that to set up what's happening at the beginning of the Man of Tomorrow movie. This is also another way to continue paying off Jor-El's message from the first Superman movie. Remember, his edict to Superman was to create a new Krypton on Earth so that their culture would survive. He no longer needs to do that if Kandor survived. There's still a giant piece of Krypton alive and well, flourishing, albeit in Brainiac's storage locker, until they would rescue and regrow it back to regular size.
Not if you knew the truth of what it means to be a part of Brainiac's collection.
What do you mean?
Probably one of the biggest, most seminal Brainiac arcs in recent history was all about this phenomenon. Brainiac comes to Earth, and through their battle, Superman is able to save and regrow Kandor back to its full size. But that just causes another WTF twist, because as a consequence of that, a giant Kryptonian city full of people all suddenly have the exact same powers as Superman and Supergirl. So you have an army of superpowered Kryptonians that Lex Luthor and the Earth is afraid will take over with their own ideas about what they want to do with the universe now that they're back. And you have to remember that all these Kryptonians know nothing of Earth. Like, they've been in Brainiac's storage locker this whole time, just dealing with themselves. So they do not care about Earth the same way that Superman and Supergirl care about Earth. Superman then has to try and resolve what to do with all of these Kryptonians now that they're back, which also pays off Lex Luthor's comments during the first Superman movie with Jor-El's message when he was trying to make everyone afraid of Superman taking over Earth and ruling it like an emperor. Zack Snyder also kind of got into these references during the Man of Steel movie and Batman v Superman when his Lex Luthor started joking about the Red Capes coming for Earth, meaning that Kryptonians would be coming to take over Earth. Another really good comp to make for this is what's happening during the events of the Invincible series. I'm also doing videos for that. We're going to see Thrag next season. It's going to be crazy, but imagine a Viltrumite situation with the Kryptonians coming back from Kandor. Robert Kirkman basically wrote their backstory to be a parody of the Kryptonians' backstory in the Superman mythos. Invincible's whole story is meant to be a twist on the Superman origin story, which was basically the whole thing that Lex Luthor was afraid of during the events of the first Superman movie. Here's the thing with that, and why I don't think they're going to get too deep into Kandor stuff during Man of Tomorrow, just because that would be too much movie inside this movie. Post-Brainiac Kandor versus Earth in the comics was just like way too much story for them to do in a 2-hour movie. So my early theory is that if James Gunn does want to get deeper into Kandor coming back, he'd save that for like the next big Superman movie. A little while ago, he said that he had a 4-movie arc in mind for Superman specifically. He could just use a bigger Kandor story for the 3rd movie if he wants. That last 4th movie would probably be the new version of a Justice League team-up movie further down the road. I know there's a lot of questions now because of the Netflix and Paramount Warner Brothers buyout talks. No matter who winds up winning the company, it'll take so many years for the deal to complete that James Gunn will have had time to make all the DC movies and DC Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters that he wants to make. Based on all the facts right now, just the temperature of this big deal, Netflix will probably wind up winning long term. It'll just take them longer to actually do that. And to their credit, at least right now, if you believe what they're saying, Netflix has said they're not going to mess with James Gunn's plan for the DC movies and TV shows. James Gunn himself did address some of the Brainiac casting rumors recently, saying that he didn't absolutely confirm that Brainiac was the main villain. He also didn't say that Brainiac wasn't in the movie either, which is a way of him saying, oh yeah, Brainiac's in the movie, but I don't want to come right out and say it right now. Mostly his post was to say that Batista is not going to be Brainiac and wasn't ever up for the Brainiac character, because he and Batista have both talked about him coming to the DCU and playing a new character. They just never said who he was going to play. I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up in that Batman Brave and the Bold movie playing a Batman villain of some kind.
I don't know. I've just kind of latched onto over the past 10, 20 years, and Bane was one of them.
I'm not going to get too deep into Brainiac casting right now because it's mostly speculation. It's still pretty early days. They probably won't announce the actor until next year when they actually need to start filming Brainiac scenes with him. James Gunn has not said whether or not Jason Momoa's Lobo is going to be in the Man of Tomorrow movie, but I do think that we will see Lobo versus Superman at some point in the next few years. And yes, I do 100% believe that they will do a Lobo solo movie with Jason Momoa at some point, and it'll be rated R, like a more down and dirty cosmic movie. Imagine if James Gunn made a pure Ravagers movie in the Marvel Universe that was a little more hardcore than, say, like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, which are more PG-13, because Lobo is just way more hardcore of an anti-hero. Based on the trailer footage that we have of him so far in the Supergirl movie, my early assumption is that the space pirates hire him after Supergirl stomps them. When it comes to Lanterns crossover with Supergirl, my assumption is they'll probably just mention Green Lanterns in the other sectors of space that Supergirl and Ruthie travel through, because there are Green Lanterns in each different sector of space. It'd just be a really easy way to do more world building in the DC universe in a cosmic way, and to help set up lanterns like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of Green Lanterns all flying around space here in different sectors. But I don't think that Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, or Guy Gardner for that matter, are going to appear in the movie. If we do see one of them come back in Man of Tomorrow, it'd probably more likely be Guy Gardner for Justice Gang references if he's still alive at that point. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and all your Brainiac theories for how James Gunn is going to use him inside the DCU. There have been a number of versions of Brainiac in the live-action TV shows over the years, but the live-action movies have tried several times and failed to do Brainiac. Even Zack Snyder, had he gotten to have made Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill, probably would have used Brainiac for that movie. We will probably get bigger trailers for both Lanterns and for Supergirl in the next couple of months, so I'll do videos for all that stuff as soon as they do release some new material. In related news, supposedly there's some crazy Marvel Avengers Doomsday trailer plan that they have over the next couple of weeks. We will see what winds up being true with that. So whatever Marvel winds up releasing, of course I will do videos for. I'm really hoping that it doesn't turn into a copyright situation where Marvel doesn't let people make videos about the Avengers Doomsday teasers online. Universal did something like that with the Christopher Nolan Odyssey trailers, where they just kept blocking or banning people reposting the trailers from inside the theaters. Makes it really, really hard to do videos about stuff when studios do that. Please, Marvel, do not do that. Everybody click here for my new Lanterns trailer, and click here for my full Supergirl trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.